this would be Wrigley Shipley, also known as Crazy. And this guy would surprise True with a text in May of 2019. But first, let me set the context. As I stated in the beginning, 5 different A-Tray sections formed in Baltimore, one of which being Nutty North Side. At the beginning, the Back West and Nutty North Side were allies, but in typical Baltimore fashion, they began beefing over territory. After the incident of Albert Pittman, G-True wanted to take over the area of East Baltimore. Coincidentally, the Nutty North Side wanted the area as well, given that it's closer to their home turf. Somehow, this simple matter transitioned into a full-on A-Tray versus A-Tray beef. And in May of 2019, Wrigley Shipley would volunteer to make a statement. May 25th, 2019, Crazy texts True and asks him to go on a mission with him against the Nutty North Side. Of course, True is ecstatic as no one has ever volunteered like this before, so he instantly agrees and picks him up at 9 p.m. They drive to East Baltimore looking for any Nutty North Side members, and that's when they spot a member named Daryl Fordham on the 500 block of Force Road, and that's when Crazy hops out. This incident shook up everything in Baltimore as all of the A-Tray sets turned against G-True and his squad. Everyone knew that they were wild and never to be trusted again. On top of this, all of the BGF members despised them as well. So as you would expect, A-Tray would pay the cost in a major way. Or maybe not, let me explain. In July of 2019, True became very upset at Deontay for telling his girl about everything that they had done. He saw this as a form of snitching and he wanted nothing to do with Deontay. He even instructed the other members to stop talking to him and to take his blower away. So that's exactly what they did, leaving Deontay without protection or a squad to hang around. Sadly, Deontay would not last long in the streets of Baltimore. On May 23, 2020, Deontay was found outside of Collins Market in the heart of BGF territory. To this day, no one knows who did this, whether it was G-True or the BGF side. Regardless, this is a lesson that proves that no matter how many stripes you have, this life will lead to absolutely nothing. Friends who you risked your life for will turn their back on you after the smallest mistake. And the interesting part of this whole situation is that True's concerns about Deontay running his mouth should have been his last concerns. Instead, his own group chat that had every little thing they had done since 2016 probably should have been his concern. On top of this, after Baltimore police ran across True's social media, they were able to get a warrant to look through his phone. And after finding the group chat, they discovered every little thing they had done since 2015. There was no need for informants or any other proof. This was an easy case closed. And this is ultimately how the Back West A-Tray was taken down. On October 7th, 2020, 10 members were indicted on all sorts of charges. Due to True's group chat, members who actually didn't do anything were now facing conspiracy charges for texts sent to the group. Life was pretty much over for anyone involved with the Back West A-Tray. But then wild news would come in September of 2021. Trayvon Hall was released from jail and sent back home to Baltimore, all while his entire crew were still facing life in prison.
Holy moly!
The irony is that while all of the inactive members were going to prison, the man who actually did everything was sitting at home. Everyone was confused on why this happened, and a lot of people thought that he snitched. That was until the US Marshals had realized that they had released the wrong person. So just 3 weeks after his release, Trayvon Hall was sent back to jail on September 22nd. That must have been the wildest roller coaster of emotions, I can't even imagine. Well, in 2022, Trayvon Hall was sentenced to 37 years for all of his crimes. Wrigley Shipley, also known as Crazy, received 15 years. Then Marcus Williams, also known as Gangster C, received 7.5 years. The other members are either still facing trial or their sentences haven't been published. This is yet another example of why Baltimore is the second most dangerous city in the country, and sadly it hasn't gotten better. In fact, its homicide rate in 2022 was over 10 times higher than the city of LA. You can probably pin this to the high levels of poverty, but also to the complete dysfunction. In all of my Baltimore stories, it seems like the incidents are really never that deep. And because of that, it seems like a city that's nearly impossible to maneuver.